Good morning, children. I hope all are safe and fine. Welcome back to English grammar class. Today we are going to see the last lesson in your grammar lesson, that is sentences, simple, compound and complex. Before moving to the topic, what do you mean by a sentence? Do you remember we have learned in the first class? In the first grammar class we have learned what is a sentence. Yes, a sentence is a group of words which makes a complete sense. Isn't it? In that we have seen kinds of sentences. Isn't it? 4 kinds of sentences. Can anyone remember 4 kinds of sentences? Yes, assertive or declarative sentence, interrogative sentence, exclamatory sentence and imperative sentence. 4 kinds of sentences we saw. Here we are going to see types of sentences. That is simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. So before going to this simple, compound and complex, we have to know what are clauses. Have you heard about this word clause? No. So we will see what are clauses and what are some examples for clauses. Okay, clause is a part of a sentence. It will be having a subject and a verb. Finite verb will be there. And it makes a complete sense. Sometimes it may not be. So let's see what are clauses.
Children, let's learn what are clauses. A clause can be a complete sentence or a part of a sentence. So what do you mean by clause? A clause can be a complete sentence or a part of a sentence. A sentence can have one clause or more than one clause. Let's see one example. The sun rises in the east. Here we know the sun is a subject, rises is a verb, in the east, rises in the east, it is a predicate. So rises in the east takes place as a clause. Let's see another example. Whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem, Birbal solved it easily. In this example, we know Akbar is a subject, gave is a verb, Birbal a tricky problem is a predicate. So predicate can be a verb phrase. Now whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem, it is a clause. So as I told you, a sentence may have one or more clause. So here one clause is given whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem. In the same example, we will have another clause also. That is, Birbal solved it easily. So in a sentence, there are more than one clause. So first clause is whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem. Next clause is Birbal solved it easily. So children, as we learned earlier, a sentence may be having 2 clauses. So one clause we can say it is independent clause and another we can say dependent clause. And what are these independent dependent we will see now. So as I told you, clause can be independent and dependent. So independent is which makes complete sense on its own. So let's see one example. Football is an interesting game, though it requires a lot of energy. See this example. So we need to find out the independent clause from this sentence. So the independent clause in this sentence is football is an interesting game because it is having a complete meaning. Though it requires a lot of energy, it's another part of the sentence. Former example was example for independent clause. Now we will see the second part of clause, that is dependent clause. It depends on another clause to make complete sense. So it cannot stand alone. It need to depend upon another part of the sentence to stand. So let's see one example. The same example that we saw previously, same example we can take. Whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem, Birbal solved it easily. In this sentence, we are going to categorize dependent clause and independent clause. So let's see that. So children, have you seen here? Whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem, it is dependent clause. So it can be an example for dependent clause because in it has to depend upon the independent clause that is Birbal sold it easily. So Birbal sold it easily, it is having a complete meaning, whereas whenever Akbar gave Birbal a tricky problem, it is a dependent clause. So I hope you understood what is dependent clause and independent clause.
So I hope children you understood what are clauses, examples and all. Now let's see what are simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence. Let's see in detail.
So children, we know sentences are divided into three forms, that are simple, compound and complex. First we are going to see what are simple sentence, what are the examples of simple sentence. So let's see. A simple sentence can also be identified on the basis of subject and predicate. That is, a simple sentence will be consisting of one subject and one finite verb. Predicate is a verb phrase. Okay. A simple sentence has only one subject and one predicate. Let's see one example. This tea is black. Okay. So in this sentence, we can say this is a simple sentence. How? Because we know one subject. What is subject here? This tea is black. It's a predicate or it is a verb phrase. Now we are going to see the second part, that is compound sentence. What is a compound sentence? A compound sentence consists of two or more coordinate clauses. These clauses are independent clauses. That is, a sentence will be having two clauses and it will be independent. Means it will be main clauses because it can stand alone. It will be having a meaning of its own. For example, see, I got the map of the fair, but I can't find the food stall. So here we know two clauses are given and both are independent clauses. I got the map of the fair. There is a complete meaning in that sentence. Second one, see, I can't find the food stall. So this clause is also having complete meaning. So these two clauses being joined by conjunction but. So these clauses are independent clauses. So they show two thoughts, means they are having complete meaning and they are connected by a conjunction but. So they are of equal importance and can convey complete meaning or sense by themselves. So we have used but conjunction in order to join these two clauses. Now, how will you identify that a sentence is a compound sentence? There is a tricky way. That is, the compound sentences will be joined by coordinating conjunction. I hope you remember what are coordinating conjunctions. Yes, that are and, but, or, so. So, if a sentence is having this conjunction to join two clauses, then we can say it is compound sentence. So, these conjunctions can be used in following ways. That is, conjunction and. Where it is used to connect similar ideas that we already saw under conjunction lesson, isn't it? The conjunction but we are used for contrast ideas or opposite idea. Conjunction or we are using to connect equally important choice, that is coffee or tea, like that. The conjunction so is used to connect equally important results or used for a continuation of an idea. So I hope children you understood what are compound sentences. So let's see some examples for compound sentences. First one, she completed her homework and she also worked on her project. So we know where we are using and conjunction, to denote similar ideas. So here we know she completed her homework is one clause. She also worked on her project is another clause. Both are independent clauses. So we can say it is a compound sentence example. See the second one. The road is long, but I shall travel it. So two contrasting or opposite ideas given. So we can use but conjunction. And road is long, it is one clause. I shall travel it, another independent clause. So we can say it is a compound sentence. Another example, we can film a documentary or we can make a short film. Fourth one, this novel is huge, so you must make time to read it. So these conjunctions that and, but, or, so are used to coordinate two statements. So we can say compound, it is an example for compound sentences. Also, compound sentences also known as coordinating sentences. Now let's see the third part, that is complex sentence. What are complex sentences? Complex sentence has only one independent clause and one or more dependent clause. So when we learn clause, we have seen that what are dependent clause and independent clause. So dependent clause means it has to get support from the other part of the sentence. From the independent clause, it need to get support. So what is a complex sentence? Complex sentence means it will be having one independent clause, one main clause it will be having, and one or more dependent clause will be there, or subordinating clause will be there. The independent clause is also known as principal clause or main clause, and the dependent clause is known as subordinate clause. Okay, let's see one example. When he heard the news, he was astonished. When he heard the news. So here we can see the pink letter clause, that is subordinate clause. When he heard the news, he was astonished. There it is giving a complete meaning, so it can function as a main clause or principal clause. So I hope children you understood what are complex sentence. Complex sentence means it will be having one main clause and one or more dependent clause or one or more subordinate clause. So how will you identify that a sentence is a complex sentence? There is a clue for that. That is the subordinate clause. So we have already studied subordinate conjunction also under conjunction lesson. So subordinate clause will be beginning with words like although, as if, before, after, because, though, even though, while, when, whenever, during, as soon as long as, since, until, unless, where, wherever. So we know these all are subordinating conjunctions. We have already studied. So when these words are being started with a sentence or a part of the sentence is having this words, then we can say it is a subordinate clause. So we know in the previous example, when he heard the news, here we know when. It's a subordinating conjunction. So we can say it is a complex sentence. So a subordinate clause, it can, that is why we are telling that it is a dependent, because it cannot stand on its own and it will not be having a meaning of its own. So it just depend upon whom, the principal clause or the main clause, in order to get a meaning. So a complex sentences will be having one main clause and one or more subordinate clause. Now let us look some examples for the simple, compound and complex sentence. Okay, so an example for simple sentence. What is this? The road was very dusty. The road was very dusty. So we know the road is a subject, was very dusty. It's another part of the sentence. So only one clause is there. So we can say it is a simple sentence. So we already saw that simple sentence will be having one subject and one predicate. See the next example. It was raining that day and there was also lightning. So we know it was raining that day. It's one main clause. There was also lightning, another main clause. It is being joined by coordinating conjunction, and so we can say it is a compound sentence. Next we can see another example. Before she reached her house, they set up a birthday party. So we know before is a subordinating conjunction. So we can say that clause, it is a subordinate clause, and other part, they set up a birthday party, is a main clause. So we can say it is a complex sentence because a main clause will be there, along with that one subordinate clause will be joined. Now next example, see, Mahesh is eating cake. It's an example for simple sentence because Mahesh, one subject and one finite verb, that is a predicate, is joined. Next example, they rested when night fell. They rested when night fell. So they rested, the other part of the clause, that is when night fell, is a subordinate clause. So we can say it is a complex sentence.
So I hope children, you understood this lesson. So we have completed our lessons. So what you have to do? You have to prepare well for the exam. Okay. So revise properly, study properly. Happy learning and all the best for your exam.